All right, hello everybody. Here we go. Firing up the atomic spotlights. Here we are. I have got the social stream multi-chat running in the background. So if you're out there watching, I hope I've got it set up correctly now. So let's go ahead and paint all the things right here in the pocket dimension. Here is the close cam. So evidently I am out of dishwashing detergent, squeezy stuff. I don't really spend a lot of time doing kitchen things. I'm a bachelor. I tend to eat out a lot too much or order in. So when I run out of things, sometimes I really run out of things and I forget to replenish them. So we're going to open up these Gnolls. They are GNU figures, or older GNU figures. New figures, GNU. New? GNU. Anyway, these are Gnolls for Gnoll-Vember. I know it's Gnoll. I know it's Gnoll. I know the G is silent. So, I've got a couple of archers here. We're going to stick them together. Being these are bones, I'm really not too concerned about clearing mold lines and the like. These are just fun figures. They're squishy, a little. Actually, these are pretty stiff. Of course, they're monsters, so the larger figures tend to do a little bit better with this particular material anyway. But there is some soft detail, so I'm not going to get too particularly worked up about getting all the mold lines off. I mean, these are just cheap figures for playing cheap games. So I want to build a Gnoll warband for Song of Blades and Heroes. Something I can use there. And yeah. So anyhow, let's go ahead and paint up. Let's see if let me just see. I don't see any chat going on when I pull it up there. And I've got the multi-chat going on with the social stream. Oop. So hopefully it's in the background here. And I can see everybody's chat. Hopefully, if this works out correctly. So we are running at 1.39 megabytes, 31 feet per second. And multi-streaming out to Twitch, Rumble, and YouTube. All your favorite streaming platforms. So tonight we're going to be at least assembling, maybe getting a base coat on Black Tongue Gnoll Archers. 2 copies of them. I actually ordered another copy because I like to put my guys in groups of 3. 3 archers, 3 spearmen. That's just the way I like to do, especially for a skirmish game. And I like to be representational as well. So like my orcs for Song of Blades and Heroes, I've got more spearmen than swordsmen. Spears were cheaper, easier to build. So I figure orcs are about cheap, easy. We tend to get a little too weird and fantastic with orcs sometimes, I think. But kind of following the Tolkien-esque sort of idea of orcs. Probably have straightforward weapons, single-bladed swords, cleavers, and scimitars. Probably use spears as opposed to really other fancy pikes and halberds or anything like that. What are you doing, Pumpkin? What are you doing, buddy? So anyway, so Black Tongue, Gnoll Archer, 2 copies, got another one coming. 77104. Then the Gnoll Warrior here. This guy, he's got a rather usefully offensive looking shield and Morning Star of some sort, looks like. Probably wind up hitting himself in the jaw there. I'm not too concerned about straightening it out. I could probably run it under some hot water. But like I said, I just want to paint some figures, get these guys done up. And we'll put them on bases. Find some, probably have to put them on 40mm bases. So, into the trash the bones boxes go. Woo! Alright, let's see. Hopefully everybody can hear me out there. If you can't hear me, let me know. Although, it seems like everything's working the way it should. So, anyhow, there we are. It's Tuesday night here in the Pocket Dimension. Now, this week, even though I have scheduled Thursday night streams generally, and I always put that out there on my scheduling reminders on Instagram and Facebook, Twitter, and yes, it's Twitter, not X. I refuse to call it X for reasons. I don't know if Blue Sky would give me better traction, but X is absolutely horrible for outreach and visual visibility. Visual visibility. That's generally how it works, right? I need to have people repost to be able to see anything I see. You know, it's ridiculous. What a mess, right? In some ways, people are able to talk about the things that matter to them, even if you don't care for some of those subjects. You know, that's okay. People have the right to speak, have their minds heard, have their voices heard, and you have the right to ignore them. So, but yep. So we're just gonna slice some of these little mold lines off here where they're kind of really noticeable. Kind of have to slice them on this material. It doesn't like to scrape. It doesn't like to scrape because it's not a hard material like, say, polystyrene, high impact polystyrene, or even some of the resins like to be scraped more than sliced. This is just soft PVC. Although there is harder PVC as well. It has more of a hardener in it, but yeah. So we're just gonna clean these guys up a little bit, kind of just get more noticeable mold lines off. I'm not, like I said, it's just a drawback of the material, and I'm not gonna get too excited about it one way or the other. I'm just gonna kind of you know. So hopefully Social Stream Ninja finally works for me. I finally sat down tonight. I had some time before stream. Today was a weird day at work. Not weird, not like the sky turning into blood and the moon falling from the firmament by any means, but just weird. I went and I did an estimate this morning, and I really didn't have anything else going on this afternoon. So I called another one of our guys to see if they had anything, and they didn't have anything for me, so I just waited patiently. I figured there was something that would come through, but kind of caught up on a lot of things um, here recently, work wise. So when you don't have anything to do, you go home. Not that I was home, I was waiting, but I never heard anything back from anybody. So, and then we'll just slice these little letters off, get a good flat surface to. Well, hello, pumpkin. How are you? Okay, buddy. No, that's not right. You can sit here for a few minutes, okay? Till I start getting the paint out, okay? Look, man, you need not put your nose in my business here. I've got sharp things happening. So, let's see. I set one of these guys down. I was slicing off the letters on the bottom here, the part where it says Reaper 2013, made in China. China. What? You think you're gonna attack these gnolls? You got to do what I got to do, right? Cats think that they got to do what you got to do. Interesting creatures, aren't you? You're an interesting creature. Yeah, look at you. What? Let's see how this goes in here. That'll go in like that, I think. That's pretty good. Yeah. You want to help? You're helping. Not helping at all, really. But unlike some other streamers, I do not zap my animal. I do not have a zappy thing. I'm more than happy to let my animal do what he's going to do. Until it gets inconvenient. Then we'll move him out. So, let's see. So you could make these guys look different just by changing the angle of this hand. So you could have one hand kind of up more straight like this, right? Like that. And then you could do the other dude up flat like this. So that's one little trick you can use when doing several of the same figure, so that it doesn't get too tedious, right? Right, pumpkin? We don't want to get too tedious, do we? So we're just gonna do some gnolls up here, and you're gonna probably have to get evicted here from the pocket dimension before too long when I start painting these guys up. But as it is, oh, getting bored already. He doesn't have disposable thumbs, folks, so he's not real happy because he can't paint. He has a terrible sense of color as well. But don't tell him I said so. So let me just see if anybody's out there in chat. Hey, how's it going, DD? Good to see you. I just noticed you were up in the chat there. Yeah, faded into the inky darkness to see and not be seen. Nice. Well, thanks for stopping in and letting me know you were here. Appreciate the lurk, my friend. So, October is over. We are now moving on to Gnoll-Vember. Now, I'm going to start up this heat gun real quick. And the heat gun makes a little noise. So, we're going to try to change the direction of this guy's flail here, because it's kind of hitting him in his face. So I'm going to cut the microphone for a minute. And, yeah. All right. So that's been heated up. We're just gonna move it back this way. Now, if I can get it to enough of an extreme position, we should be able to get it to fold back enough to where it's not going to spring back into its original position. Even though I really should douse it in a little bit of cold water, I just don't happen to have any at the moment. So we're just gonna let it sit there for a minute and hold it in place while it cools. So funny thing is, the last couple of streams I hadn't noticed, but when I opened up OBS, evidently I had not had my big microphone plugged in, and it was just using the onboard microphone from my laptop. Well, the problem with that is, well, not really a problem. I'm surprised that it works because the onboard camera from my laptop does not work. So that's odd. But it's about time to get a new computer. But I also need to do some work on my car. So that's going to happen this weekend, I think. Hopefully I can resolve that issue. But I'm thinking it might be an alternator starter issue. What's funny is, after I came back from DD's house, DD Minnie's house there, my car got over there just fine. Car got back just fine, but then I let it sit for a week, and I wound up not having any juice in the battery for some reason. So I'm thinking that it probably did not get a recharge from the alternator. So alternator could be going bad. Could be loose wire. Could be a discharge to ground, like a leak, like a voltage leak issue. I don't know. But I'll fiddle around with it, and if I can't get it to work by next weekend, consistently, then I'll probably take it into the mechanic and have them work on it. So it's a hassle. But I've been thinking about getting a new vehicle anyway, but I wanted to save up a little bit more before I went for it. So if I can get this vehicle through maybe next spring, if I can keep it running and not have to spend a lot of money to do so. The car's 23 years old, but it runs just fine. It's a Honda, so it's got a lot of good mileage left in it. I'm not even at 150,000 yet. I think I got it at 96,000. So, or no, sorry, 116,000. And I've had it for 11 years now. But I don't drive it every day. I have a work truck from the company that I work for. So I don't have to drive my vehicle every single day like some people do, and that's just how it is, you know. Like some people do. But what I mean is I don't have to load it down with tools and materials. You know, I just have a passenger vehicle, and I don't need to have a alternate personal work vehicle. Oh, getting a little bit out of frame there. So let's see. Let's just check the other chats to make sure that I'm not missing anything. Doesn't look like I am. No, no. Looks like Social Stream is doing its job. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. And of course, we've got the donation, the contribution drive going on for the 988 mental health, 988 suicide and crisis lifeline. And just to give you a few statistics, especially because November is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. The last 3 months have been mental health awareness months, by the way. September was Suicide Awareness Month. Last month was General Mental Health Awareness Month. And then this month is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And so everybody sometimes needs somebody to talk to. But just to give you some idea here, what we're dealing with as men, because we don't talk about our feelings, we don't talk about how we're feeling, not feelings, but sometimes we tend to bottle things up inside, and depression is sometimes considered anger that's internalized. So let's see. So you consider that 12 men a day, 87 men a week, 375 men a month, and 4,500 men a year. And that's just civilians. We've the nation we live in has been had a protracted period of warfare. And as I understand it, 22 to 24 veterans take themselves off this planet every day. So if you have 12 civilians and 22 veterans, that's actually 36 people, 36 men a day that end themselves. So there's nothing wrong with talking about how you feel. If you feel bad, talk to somebody. If you know somebody that doesn't seem to be their usual self, maybe you can encourage them to get some help or be a hearing ear. I mean, nobody likes to pry. Nobody likes to be a snoopy snoop, right? But at the same time, fellers, we got to look out for each other. And even spouses or significant others, as the word is, can do a lot to look after men. So there's nothing wrong with asking, and if they say, well, it's okay, everything's fine. Sometimes if you just ask, is everything really fine? Sometimes you got to push men to talk about what's eating at them. Sometimes you do. And sometimes, unfortunately, as men, sometimes we push back and we get a little upset. But sometimes we have to put aside our male ego, which I know that's a very, very kind of a loaded word these days. But I mean, male ego is a challenge at times. So we might want to check ourselves. What's the old song say? Check ourselves before you wreck ourselves. So but look out for yourselves, fellas. Get help if you need it. If everybody feels blue from time to time, but if it's a protracted long time that you're just feeling blue in the down in the dumps, and you just can't feel happy, you just feel like nothing's worth it, that means you're depressed. And depression is it robs you of your happiness overall. And everybody, you may not believe this, folks, fellers, you may not believe this, but you're good enough, you're worth it, and you do deserve to feel happy. No one is Hitler. So, we all deserve to feel good. Hey, Miar, how's it going? Good to see you tonight. How's everything in Miarland? What you been working on lately? What you been painting? Thanks for stopping in. Good to see you. Hope everything is going well. All right, let's see. I need super glue. Super duper glue. Let's see what we got here. Medium power super glue. We'll use this. Hopefully we can get some out. Fire Atronach, I've been doing. Oh, you've been down. You've been working on the Fire Atronach. Cool. Oh, that's you posted that in the Discord. Yeah. But you've been down a bit? Oh, well, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, hopefully we can pick you up a little bit tonight. So thanks for being here. I do appreciate seeing you. Now, usually, I do want to say this. Usually, I stream on Thursday nights, but I will probably not stream on Thursday. I may stream tomorrow night. I've got some other things going on this Thursday that I'm committed to. So, things keep piling up and I can't afford the problems, right? When it rains, it pours, you know. Um, just one thing at a time. It's sometimes it can be hard to prioritize, Miar. Uh, Especially when life comes at you fast, right? But you know, you got a lot more people in the house than I do, so you can don't be afraid to put everybody on a task. You know, you shouldn't have to do it all by yourself. But health problems and getting older and everything like that, raising kids, I can imagine that has its own challenges. Well, I'm glad you appreciate me, Miara. I appreciate you appreciating me, and I'm glad you're around, and hopefully we'll get to see each other more often and at, through the years. Of course, next year, I tell you what, next year I am probably only going to be doing Adepticon next year because my dad is getting older. He's going to be Next year he's going to be 79. My granddad died at 83. So um yeah, it's time to kind of put some of my more selfish and I mean selfish, not terribly, not selfish like only thinking of myself, but I don't know, like it's a mild selfishness. Um, because usually, I mean, that's something about my dad is he's always stayed kind of he's stayed very hands off with the way I live. Um, you know, we have a good relationship, I think, but you know how you have that friend that you call up once every 3 years and you touch base and it's like, hey, you all right? Yeah, I'm all right. And okay, good. And you know, men, we just don't have a lot to talk about sometimes. Not that my dad and I don't have a lot to talk about. It's just, you know, men, we're just different. You know, we're not what a lot of people think we should be. Which finding that balance between what we are and the things we need, um, what sometimes we think is expected of us, are different things sometimes. So, men's mental health is the focus this month, and of course, we've got the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline fundraiser on the Twitch channel. So if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, pop over to my channel, which is the same name. JP Got Rockets is the channel on Twitch. Come on over and drop in a couple of dollars to help us reach our goal of $250, which it'd be nice to have been able to get there in September. But as it is, it did not happen, so we continued it through October. And it looks like this super glue has had it. Oh well, that happens sometimes. Yeah, Miar, I mean, the thing is it's not really, you don't hate each other, it's just you have different lives, and, you know, he moved off to Florida, as many parents do, and that's a long way to go, and I'm working, I'm building my life as it is, you know, and I have the things that I enjoy and I'm involved with, and he's got the things that he and my stepmom enjoy and are involved with. Um, and it's a long way to go, distance wise. And even when I lived closer to them, because they didn't live too far from me here, you know, it was a very hands off sort of a relationship. We love each other, but fathers and sons, you know, it's not that nobody gets along. It's just one of those things that tends to be a all right, so this is thick super glue. Hopefully it will flow. It's in good shape in the bottle. I can see it move. Um, it's just one of those things that it just is what it is, you know. But I think next year I will probably cut down on a lot of my convention going. Maybe just pretty well just stay close by on the weekends, like weekend conventions. You know, anything I can drive a couple hours out to, you know. And there's a lot of local conventions, I tell you. A lot of local conventions coming up lately. In this part of the world, back in the 80s, nerd stuff when I was growing up was just not a thing that you did or talked about or anything like that. But nowadays, I mean, it's really a going thing. It's a real going concern here. So building up the culture, the gaming culture, the miniatures. You know, I like to run paint and takes. It was funny going to that convention there in Louisville that we all showed up at there back a couple months ago. Uh, that was the first time I'd gotten to paint in a paint and take in like as a participant in years. A lot of times when I was taking my friends to like Origins, we would go into the paint and take arena, and because that was something that they could do. Something I know how to do, and it's something that could give them an activity to to be involved with for the day, or for a couple hours out of the day, or whatever, however long it took us. Um, so it was something that was fun, but then um, that was obviously that was pre-pandemic stuff, you know. But So that was all pre-pandemic. After pandemic, um, things being what they were, and then watching, just trying to figure out things I could do to help build the culture. There were some local conventions that were coming up, and I'd watched a gentleman named Rick Ankney on a little show called Painting Happy Little Minis. And one of the things that he'd been doing at some of the larger conventions was he was running the paint and take arena. So I said to myself, now there's something I can do. And it was a weird choice because I work with Sea Dog Game Studios and run games at conventions for them. Well, not for them per se. It's actually the volunteer, our volunteer game master organization, the Men of the Red Chest, that we've organized. So we're actually a separate entity from. Legally, we're a separate entity from Sea Dog Game Studios. But because that's how that works. It's all tax type stuff, and how do we promote this thing that we've worked on? It's just a thing. It's how we do things. It's yeah. Anyhow, so that that super glue is just about had it. I think doesn't seem to want to go. Um, Maybe I'll just leave it there and hopefully it will. Hopefully it'll do the thing. So I had to make a choice. What can I do to benefit the community as a whole? Well, if I take some ships and my sail power rulebook and I go run some sail power games, I could affect 6 people, half dozen, maybe 10 people, whatever. Um, but there's no guarantee that they would necessarily take anything away from it. So I was like, what can I do to build the culture overall? Well, I got to thinking, why not run paint and takes? So it was kind of a choice I had to make on that. So yeah, I started running paint and takes because it kind of made more sense as something I could do that would benefit the gaming community as a whole rather than just showcasing the thing that I liked. Which I mean, I'm showcasing the thing that I like, but without having a vendor, without being a vendor, um, there's kind of no point in trying to sell cell power. Let's see if that can set that super glue up a little bit. I think this super glue might have had it by now, so it might be all right. I don't know. But yeah, I think Adepticon might be about the only show I make this year, just because I want to focus more. Maybe in the next couple of years, I may just do that one show, just because. Well, Adepticon is like, it's Super Bowl for us, for miniatures gamers, manufacturers, and the like. Um, Although, evidently had a lot of good success at Gen Con this year too. So, but I digress. As much as I want to help out at these other shows, I'm thinking I'm thinking Adepticon is probably going to be the only one that I'm able to make, because I need to look into spending family time. Not that my dad's unwell by any means, or has any terrible immediate health issues, aside from a couple of things that happened here, a couple of years, year or two ago, a couple of things, but they weren't. They were surprising, tense, worrisome, but I can't do anything about it. You know, I mean, I can't fix anything. and panicking and running off and just throwing everything to the wind is not gonna help anything. So, but I do need to look into doing more that way. Save more money in the end? Well, not really, because I need to buy a new car here in a few months. And travel, I mean, travel's just as expensive as buying toys at a convention. So, but as a volunteer GM, I do enough work where I get a badge. So I'm not spending money on a hotel room and share hotel room, and I get my badge comped. So it's not really a whole lot of money to go to conventions for me. If I had to pay to go, I'd never go. Especially because it can be hard to find people to go with anyway. So I mean, I really lucked into working with Brian and Ed and everybody at SDGS. Because I mean, it kind of living the dream that I had when I was reading White Dwarf and Polyhedron and all those old gaming magazines that would always have big advertisements for Origins and Gen Con, and they were in far off places like Milwaukee, and then Origins came to Columbus back in whenever that was, and I had played HeroClix, and our main judge for our town, who was the HeroClix guy, I became the Pirates of the Coast guy, and so, and of course, sometimes we also had a substitute judge, but we knew the rules to clicks pretty well, so didn't really have too much of a hassle to help out where needed. But Ron came back with some really cool figures one year, and I was like, "Where'd you get those?" He goes, "Oh, I got those at Origins." Origins? Well, where in the world is Origins? Oh, it's just up in Columbus. Columbus? Well, it was only 2 hours from the house. Well, 2.5, depending on how you go. But still 2.5. It's funny, I moved closer and I still am about 2.5. Well, no, it was about 3 where I used to live because it was over the hills. So it was about 3 hours away. Now it's about 2 hours, generally to the outskirts. So it'd be a lot quicker if there was an actual highway there, but there isn't. I mean, there is an actual highway, but it goes through little towns and it slows down to like 35 miles an hour. It's just horrible. Origins is in Columbus, Ohio, Miar. Let's see. Where is there's my basing material underneath things on my desk. The things on my desk go falling down. I should do something about these loose paints now. Now that October is over, I should reorganize my paints and put them back where I found them. So help me. Put that thing back where you found it. So help me. So help me. So help me. So I'm just going to put the basing material on these. And yes, I am using super glue on the basin for basing. Why? Because why not? White glue could peel off and gets ratty after a while. Super glue just goes right on. No fuss, no muss. But yeah, I think I'm gonna have to cool it a little bit this year, maybe next year for the convention going as it is. I was thinking about maybe going to Valhalla next year in the springtime, but it's so close after Adepticon, and it would use up all my it would take up a lot of vacation time. And then I was sat down, I had to look at things, and I was like, well, I need to go see my pops and that, and of course, don't tell nobody, but I kind of hate Florida. Well, I don't really hate it. I'm indifferent to Florida. One gentleman I used to work for called it God's waiting room, because people go to Florida and all they're doing is waiting to die, away from all their friends and family and everything. But it's funny, my one of my dad's old buddies moved down to Florida without him knowing it, and then I don't know, 18 months, 2 years later, he was dead. you know. I don't know about this past generation. I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of them with hobbies. Do I ever put together resin models? I have. I don't remember what. It hasn't been anything recently, but I have stuck together resin models, and I just use super glue. Loctite works fine. Um, the other one that I really do like Gorilla Glue, super glue, but this is the relabeled Bob Smith. Oh, hey, yeah, let's dump it in my lap. That's a good idea. So I think that a lot of this stuff is relabeled Bob Smith Industries, Oklahoma City, bottled for Hobby Lobby. And then let's see this one. This one is Bob Smith, rebranded, and I think it's still viable, so that's good. But I don't know where it's bottled at. It's BSI, which is Bob Smith Industries, but basically Bob Smith makes a lot of the or white labels a lot of the super glue for I should say super glue is actually a brand name, really. So it's really cyanoacrylic glue adhesive, really, cyanoacrylic adhesive. If you ever run into some resin models that are hydrophobic, use Ultra CA tire glue from HPI Racing. Okay, very cool. Good to know. Um, I did have some resin bits one time. I think they came from. Who'd they come from? I got them. I got them in a lot at Origins, in fact, and they were from Armorcast. And they had a weird greasy texture to them and an odd smell, and I let them sit out on a shelf probably 2 years before I actually got around to doing anything with them. But it took that long. I gave them a good scrub with dish detergent and everything. which I should have done with these, but I don't have any dish detergent, so we're just winging it tonight, folks. Who knows if those arms are going to stay affixed with the super glue on there. Sorry, cyanoacrylic adhesive, if you want to get technical about it. Yeah, let's get technical about it. So, and let's see, one more little rock maybe? I don't know. Yeah, one more little rock. Let's put one more. Let's put one more little rock. Maybe there's a little rock that lives right there. But that's not sticking. It's probably not sticking because I didn't wash it in dish soap. Because I didn't have any. But we'll let it sit. We'll let it sit overnight. We'll see what happens. We'll just leave it there and let it be. We'll be ginger with it. I don't know if we'll get any paint on it tonight because I don't know how well this super glue is going to set up or if at all. So one thing about, I hate to use the word hoarding hobby supplies, but when you buy, when you're in a position to get it, or you're in an area that you need it, or you in an area that you can get it, sometimes at least sometimes I buy more than I'm going to use in a short period. But if I don't get it then, I won't get it at all, you know. And part of me says, well, you're living pretty good without it right now. Yeah, but when I need it, I'm going to need it. And that's the thing about super glue is when you need it. But at the same time, if you get it and it sits around, it does have a shelf life. So same thing with paints. Although I've had paints be pretty shelf stable over the years, believe it or not. I've had a lot of paints not go bad on me. So hopefully we can get this to set up for us and be ready to paint at least tomorrow night. Like I said, I won't be on Thursday, so if work doesn't run too late or wear me out too bad tomorrow, good chance I'll be streaming tomorrow evening instead of Thursday. So a little change in schedule. Sometimes that happens. Where did I put? There's the tweezers. So Now, the thing about cyanoacrylic is that it can be exothermic when it starts to dry, and you can actually melt your bases or soften up your bases because it can get warm. There have been times where I put so much super glue on something that it started to smoke, and it got hot and it hurt and it nearly burnt me. So let's see. This is my first time using fluorescent with pursuit and reason. Very useful for fire. Yeah, yeah. And that looks really what you posted so far looks really good. I can't wait to see you further progress on it. I think you're gonna knock that one out of the park. And your conversion on that other piece was top notch, Miar. Tell you what. I think if you entered into competitions, you'd probably hit like silver. You know, like there are certain competitions I don't want to ever enter in. Like I don't want to ever enter Golden Demon because it's just it's very it's very competitive as opposed to really seeing your own progress. I don't like that. I like the more open style competitions like Origins or Gen Con, ReaperCon, um, those where they're actually trying to just help you improve in your hobby and they judge a piece according to its own merit. Um, where they're not beholden to a marketing scheme, you know. So, oh yeah, yeah, I think so. And and here's the thing: the only way to find out, the only way to find out if you're not, is to try entering. Like you did that sail power ship, and you did cloth um, sails on that thing. I mean, wow, man. I mean, what you did with that piece was, I mean, that's something you could enter into a competition. I think you did cloth sails on it, didn't you? Or if you didn't, however you painted it looked really impressive. So yeah, I think so. I honestly think you should at least try. You know, and what's the worst? What's the worst that's going to happen at an open competition? You're not gonna get bronze. I mean, the but even if you don't rate a bronze, what you're gonna do is you're gonna at least be able to open yourself up to getting some creative or some constructive criticism, things that you can work on. Well, why didn't I place, or why didn't I get a silver? Why did I only get a bronze? Or why I thought this was gold level work that I did. You know, if you say, well, you know, okay, because I entered the Origins Open last year, or this past summer, and they showed me why I didn't rate higher, why I only got bronze. Well, you know, I thought the critique was very fair, um, and quite honestly, putting those pieces in was kind of a last minute thought. You know, it was just kind of a last minute thought. So if I spent more time and a little bit more care and a little more intentionality with my painting, I could probably punch it up to at least silver. But I mean, I'm just happy that I got to try it and I did place. You know, I did the minimum. What a bronze is the minimum best, right? So there's not placing, and then there's minimum best, middle best, and then gold, and then of course there's best of class or best of show, which that's while it's not beyond me, it's not where I want to take my painting. I want to paint things. I want to get them. onto the table. I don't want them to look neat so that people go, oh, that looks really good. But I'm not really too concerned about doing like super duper. I don't have the time to really paint super duper blendy stuff. I mean, I can do it, and I don't use an airbrush. You know, a lot of people that are winning big awards using airbrushes, and they're using a lot of really fine art methods. And I don't. I just like to paint. I like to get things to a maybe slightly better than tabletop level. Although, if you look at my slightly better than tabletop, when you look at these really high level painters, my stuff is barely tabletop, you know? So, yeah, anyhow, let's see. Well, I don't know if I really want to touch these much now that I've got them glued down and glued on, and I don't know how these. Hopefully, these arms will stay on all right. Hopefully, they'll stay on their bases. I want to let that set up because, you know, just better let it set up. But yeah, Gnoll-Vember. Now I did place a little order this week. No, I have a couple of your models. I think they're really good, way above tabletop. Well, I appreciate that, Miar. I appreciate that. But those, I mean, those were the Knolsers, the pre-primed stuff, and I really didn't go to like if I was really serious about putting those into a really heavy competition, I probably would have like filled all the little gaps, and I missed a lot of mold lines because they are soft PVC and it's hard to get the mold lines off. So it was just something to get out there, put it out there, work those methods. And that's the thing is, a lot of times like these knolls that I'm doing, you know, there's mold lines that I left on here. I'm not too concerned about getting them off of there, but I'm interested in trying more paint techniques. You don't have to have a perfect figure to work on a paint technique, to work on a paint method. These are, as you can see, some of the details very soft. In fact, almost non-existent on these. Like this guy doesn't even have a left eye here. So how is he going to fire his arrow, or I should say, loose his arrow with only one eye? Well, I guess you only need one eye to be able to see the target, right? Removes that weird parallax, you know. But you know, there's a mold line right there on the back of his bow, but I'm not going to worry about it because what I want to do is I want to work on some techniques, right? So if I get it based, if I get the figure on here assembled, and I get some of the more notable mold lines off, like I could probably work on that a little bit right there. There's a mold line on his belt, but it's not terrible. Um, it's just some things to help me improve my own painting. Where you have these cheap figures, um, so it's not, you know. Sometimes I feel like if I send a monthly monster out to somebody, and I don't, and I haven't filled all the gaps, I almost feel like I'm cheating them a little bit. But it's right out of the package. Because here's the thing: this channel is partly part of this channel. The reason I do this channel is because I want people to see that they don't have to be the world's greatest painter. They can get the product out of the package and start slapping paint on it and have good results, even without spending a whole lot of time on it. Because as a gamer, I want to game first. Painting the figures is fun. I enjoy that because I don't know. Artist gamer, I'm 50-50, right? You know, am I an artist? Am I a gamer? Am I a game designer? You know, it's a ever shifting triangle, right? Some days one leg is longer than the other on that triangle. So when I look at doing the art, doing the figures, um, but I want to get them on the table. I want to figure out what is the shortest What is the shortest line from getting out of the package onto the table? Well, sometimes I do cut corners. I want to use these guys in a Song of Blades and Heroes. I want to use this Gnoll Warband in a Song of Blades and Heroes games, right? So I'm not going to worry about clearing every single little mold line. You know, these are just cheap bones figures that if I host games of a Song of Blades and Heroes, they're not going to get hurt too bad. So, but yeah, the ogre, the skin is amazing. Sure, Miar, I appreciate that. I was trying something different and it paid off. You know, I didn't really blend. I actually used a reductive method on that. You know, and part of that was the products that I chose on that one. So, because what I did was this is Speed Paint 1.0. As you can see, there's no 2.0 here. This is the original Speed Paint. And that Crusader skin, put it over regular skin and brush it back, you know, reactivate it and scrape it away. Not scrape it away, but scrub it away. And you can get a really nice gradient. I was impressed with the way it worked. I would do that again. I just haven't really had any large figure large enough to do that with lately. So, anyhow, I'm going to set these guys aside. What am I going to work on next? Well, this is Gnoll-Vember, but I did prime up these orcs here from Warhammer Fantasy Battles, so maybe I'll slap some goblin green on those guys before we close out tonight. I don't know. I got another stick full of these guys somewhere. I did 2 sticks. So I like to mount them on these stir sticks and use a little blue tack to hold them on there while I'm priming. I've got another stick full of them. I don't know where I put it. Or maybe this is it. No, this can't be it, because I know I had 2 sticks full. I'd feel really funny if I left them out in the backyard. Oh, there they are. There they are. I set them up there. So I didn't get really super far with my my Orktober. Well, I got 3 colors on my 40K orcs. On some of them. There's more in that box to do. But I got their skins done. I got their pants and shirts done. I got some of their straps done on their armor and gear. So I'm not going to feel bad that I didn't get super far on it. Life being what it is. But I made a start. And sometimes that's the best and the hardest. Number one, it's the best thing you can do for any project. And number 2, it's the most important part of any project. If you can at least make the start. If you can start that project, get it going, it'll be a lot easier to finish up later on. If you put off starting, if you don't start, you'll never finish, right? I mean, that's long and the short of it. So I got these guys primed up as well. It's a state of work, so I decided to paint this one figure. Yeah, well, that's the thing, is sometimes it depends on what you're trying to do. Some people can get a lot of satisfaction about painting out just one figure and doing like 1,000% level work on one single figure. Other people like to work, like to paint up armies and paint up units and kind of have that diorama effect where, yeah, each individual figure, if you look at it, may not be terrific, but looking at it as a whole, it's very striking and super great. There's a lot of different ways to approach the hobby. There's no one one way, and I'm not the arbiter of how to do the hobby. And you have your way, and everybody out there in internet land has their way, their approach, the thing that scratches that I feel happy place in their brain that makes them feel some happiness, feel some joy. Because that's why we do hobbies, right? That's why we play games. The state of work. Decided to paint this orc figure. Oh, it's a state of orcs. Yes, yes, it's a state of orcs. A whole lot of orcs. Orcs, 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 orcs. Orcs is the best. Now here's a mistake. So in my bag of bits, this drummer didn't have a head because I bought a lot of orcs from eBay, and they were the old sixth edition starter fantasy battle, and this guy didn't have a head for the longest time. Well, I found this head in one of my bags of bits that I'd gotten, and then I started looking at it, and I noticed that head was really big. So that's actually a head from a knob, from a 40K knob. And it's actually a little bit too big for that orc. But on the other hand, who's going to notice? It is a little bit odd, and if you are a connoisseur of Games Workshop's orcs, you would notice that it is too big for his body. You can see the proportions are different. So here's a regular orc, and his head, how much smaller the heads are there. So, oh, look, we don't. That reminds me of the scene in Spaceballs. Anyway, this guy's noggin is considerably. This guy's cranium, it's huge like an orange. Look, it's got its own weather system. So, all right. So I don't know. Maybe I'll throw some goblin green on those guys, but I kind of don't want to. I'd like to put these in the display cabinet just as a grab and get done. So, look at that cranium. It's like an orange on a toothpick. It's got its own weather system. Oh, now look at you. You're going to go upstairs and cry yourself to sleep on your huge pillow. Look. Oh, man, I love that movie. Love that movie. So, and then this guy here is actually supposed to go on a chariot, I think. But I do have the chariot. And if I put that chariot together, I might pop him off and put him on as the rider. But I thought he looked kind of cool just sitting there in the front ranks. You know, maybe with the drummer beside him. You know, something like that. I don't know if it shows up here. So I thought that was kind of neat. So got the drummer and the hero in the middle. And then these guys go back to the orc archer units, which orc archers are kind of silly because they're only hitting on like 5s and 6s. Or maybe it's 5s and 6s because their ballistic skill is 2. So 5s and 6s is what they need. But Fantasy Battle was a different animal altogether than 40K. So very different in the stats. Like the stats would make these guys very weak as far as orcs go. In 40K, they're similar in some respects, but considerably different in others. So, I mean, I guess ballistic skill is kind of about the same. Toughness, though, in 40K, I think these guys are toughness 4 in Fantasy Battle, but in 40K, they'd be toughness 3. Because just regular boys are toughness 3. In in 40K, or at least they used to be. So that is what? That's 16. That's 18 dudes all together right there. Boop, boop. So yeah, that old. So I married an axe murderer. Man, that was it's one of my favorites. That's right up there. So there's three there's three movies that somebody should, if they don't like these three movies, I question their veracity as a human being. So I married an axe murderer, Strange Brew, and Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Those three movies are kind of my litmus test as to does this person, what's this person's outlook on life? I mean, not really, but I mean it's kind of like one of those things. It's like, do they know these three movies? But I mean, you don't have to know those three movies to be a good person by any means. But I think sometimes the entertainment that we choose, not only does it speak to us, but sometimes it speaks about us. So, oh, cat hair. Another cat hair. Where did these cat hairs come from? See, earlier in the stream, Pumpkin was in here trying to help me clean off the mold lines. So, yeah, you could. Hey, if you wanted to, Miar, you could go back and clip earlier in the stream, because like Twitch does like weird hype things for clips. So that's kind of a cool thing. I don't know how it all works, but having the cat trying to help me work on my miniatures was kind of funny tonight, because he was putting his little head up here, and he'd reach out with his paw and try to. He didn't know what he was doing. He was kind of cute. You should definitely go back and watch the first 20 minutes of the stream or so. But yeah. Well, since I put these dudes together, I thought I was going to do more on these dudes tonight. But I'm going to give it overnight to let this glue set up. It could be because it's a little chilly in the hobby space. Maybe that's why it wasn't setting up quickly. But I'm going to let that cure up overnight. And yeah, in a couple of more days. On mobile at the moment, but I have to see if I can clip that. Yeah, Miar, it'd be great. It's hilarious. And there's a little dig at Hassan Piker for his zapping his dog. Sorry. What's it? What's the word we use? Allegedly zapping his dog. People. Sometimes I think people want to be judgmental for no reason. I mean, we don't really know the sequence of events. We don't know everything there on that one. But it's a meme now, so but anyway, so I got those primed up. I painted up a bunch of orcs, which are going to go back in the case, and I'll get them back out and paint some more of them later on. But I think for tonight, I think that's going to be it. And yeah, I'm going to put these dudes primed up back in the display case with the rest of the army that's mostly done already. So I'll paint these at a later date as well. But Gnoll-Vember will continue, I think, tomorrow night, or hopefully we'll get some paint on these guys. And yeah, get some paint on these guys. And later in the week, I should have some more Gnolls show up to complete the warband. The plan is to have a Gnoll warband for A Song of Blades and Heroes. Excuse me. Um, and probably do a lot more on these with Gnoll-Vember than I did with the orcs in October. So that's what we're looking for. All right, remember we've got the 988 suicide and crisis lifeline fundraiser on Twitch. Folks, if you haven't come over to Twitch and dropped in a couple of dollars or two, I ask you to consider it. Yeah, I know that some people don't like Twitch for whatever reason. I understand that. But definitely throw a couple of dollars towards a good cause, a good organization that's interested in helping people. Also, this month is Thanksgiving, or as I like to say, Tanksgiving. So this month's Thanksgiving tank is going to be dun 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 dun. Where did I put it? Dun dun dun. Oh, shoot! Here it is. Derp derp derp. It was hiding. So this month's Thanksgiving tank is going to be the Churchill. We'll build the Churchill on Thanksgiving. So we'll do Thanksgiving again this year as usual. So we'll build the Churchill. So we built the Elephant in 1/72nd scale last year. I still need to put the treads on it and paint it. So, but I don't want to put the treads on it because they're vinyl. And vinyl treads on polystyrene, sometimes they melt. So I want to paint it, give it a good coat of paint before I put those treads on it. So maybe I can get a coat of paint on there if the weather's decent tomorrow evening, get that done. So I can finish up the Elephant and then build the Churchill this year. So this is this year's Thanksgiving tank, the Churchill. I almost bought, at that convention we were at Miar, I almost bought another, not the Churchill, but was it the Comet tank? No, the Cromwell. Almost bought a Cromwell. So I would have the Matilda, the Cromwell, and the Churchill for my British guys. But I held off. I was good. I really did not spend a lot, and that was what I wanted to do. Because I really don't, I'm pretty well satisfied with most everything I've got. I mean, hobbying can be a road to hoarding. So, remember, we're getting older. Can't take it with you. And we don't know what health issues tomorrow will bring. Getting up and, we're at that age where various health issues can come along, blindside us. So, enjoy what we've got. But sometimes we have to take stock of what can we really realistically do in our lives. Anyway, that's a bit maudlin. So remember, fundraiser for the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline on Twitch. Tomorrow night, I'm hoping to stream tomorrow night because I won't be streaming this Thursday. Usually my streams are on Tuesday and Thursday nights, but I've got a thing going on Thursday, so I can't do the Thursday night stream. So I'll move it back to Wednesday, I think, this week. Let's see. Watch Build Paint Play at 7 o'clock on Tuesday nights on YouTube for the finest in industry personalities and interviews. as well as the Facebook group gallery review. So definitely check out Build Paint Play on Tuesday nights if you haven't already. Let's see, twice every other week at 8:30 Eastern Time, 6:30 Mountain Time. You have Wargamer Girl on YouTube. So check her out. She also interviews notable personalities in the industry or upcoming personalities. Yeah, so I think that's probably most of my plugs. For right now, people that I know stream regularly, and of course, you probably have your favorite streamers that you watch on a regular basis, and I hope that I can become one of them. If I've earned your like and a subscribe over on the YouTube or the Rumble, definitely hit those. And I apologize if I've missed any chat notices, but I'm using Social Stream Ninja, so hopefully it's picking up. I know it's picking up Twitch, and I'm pretty sure that it's picking up YouTube, and I hope that it's been picking up Rumble. It should be, because I've got the chats popped out, so it should be picking those up. So thank you all for being here tonight. I'm cutting a little short. Usually I go to 11 o'clock, but I'm going to cut short because I've assembled my models already. And yeah, I really don't want to break out the paint at the moment with only 20 minutes left. So thanks for being here. Remember, folks, the sun is coming up tomorrow, and the world is a better place with you in it. Keep on painting and keep on playing. We're going to say goodnight to Rumble and YouTube. So good night, Rumble.